Happy Monday, faithful. We are coming to you on this June 10th. It, to me, is the first Monday of the true summer of the 49ers offseason. But of course, it's never the offseason around here. We always got something to talk about. And the main topics of the day are revolving around who's getting paid. Is it Brandon Aiyuk? Is it Trent Williams now that is apparently whispering that he needs a new contract extension, according to NFL insiders? We're going to talk about it all. I hope you guys have had a good weekend and all that. These are my same thoughts 100%. I would like a new contract as well. How do we get that rearranged and negotiated? Please speak to my agent and direct all questions for further comment. But until then, let's talk about what's going down in the 49ers world right now. You guys already know what to do. Drop an SDS in the chat. Smash that like button. Let's talk about it all right now. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to see it. What is going down, gang? So, the 49ers will always consistently find themselves in the news some way, somehow, all those different kinds of things. Obviously, we understand what the main story is, and there's really not a whole lot I would say that can be discussed in the sense of, what the future holds. We know what it is. I don't know how many times we could talk about the Brandon Aiyuk situation. Obviously, some stuff went down last week. We heard, both sides kind of going back and forth, or at least what appeared to be both sides kind of communicating through the media. And so now that was like the perfect kind of push into our summer vacation. Because as you guys know, the next 6 weeks or so, there'll be no 49ers football. And so what does that mean? That there's no offseason activities, nothing. Now, there might be some roster transactions. There might be a little bit of, updates here or there, things like that. But I don't anticipate a whole lot going down. Obviously, Brandon Aiyuk's contract negotiations at the top of the list. Word on the streets is Christian McCaffrey could potentially be the Madden cover athlete. That is going to be announced tomorrow. Now, I don't know if that is true or not, if we will see him on the cover of Madden. But based on kind of asking 49er fans if they would like to see Christian McCaffrey on the cover of Madden, I have been met with probably 80% of the fan base saying no. They would not like to see Christian McCaffrey on the cover of Madden because they don't even want to mess around with the Madden curse. To be honest, I don't mind it either. If Christian McCaffrey was on the cover of Madden, that would be pretty cool. But at the end of the day, if there, and I don't know if I believe in the Madden curse, but let's just say there is a curse. I don't even want to mess around with it. I think I would say that 49er fans are probably one of the most, what's the word that I want to use? They probably have the most PTSD around injuries. And again, I'm not in any other fan base. I don't interact with all those fans and all that stuff, and I interact with 49er fans on the daily. But I do know that 49er fans are very sensitive to injuries because we've dealt with a lot of them the course of many years, and I know it really came to a head in that 2020 season. But I don't think anyone wants to dabble. So we'll see. We'll see who the Madden cover is. Bengals fans seem to believe that it is Joe Burrow on the cover. Heard also that it could be CMC. We'll see. We'll see how it all goes down tomorrow. So we'll have Madden cover announced. We'll see if CMC made the cut or if he was able to get by it. So that all being said, the main focus of the San Francisco 49ers right now, beyond us, getting into the roster and discussing, things that we want to see in training camp and competitions at certain positions and players that we like and think we're going to ascend, maybe players who are going to be on the outside looking in. Essentially, the main focus of all 49ers fans' energy right now is on the contract situation. Like there's X now, or Twitter, or whatever it's called. It shows everyone who's live. So just talking about right now, the 49ers, I can see Larry Krueger is on live talking. His title of his video is "Should 49ers extend Trent Williams with Brock Purdy contract looming?" Rob Stats Guerrera is currently live right now, says NFL Insider, Trent wants more money from the 49ers. Sterling Bennett is live right now saying 49ers news. Brandon Aiyuk offered a contract and Trent Williams wants a new deal. This is all being discussed right now. These are all other 49ers content creators talking right now. They're live as we are live. So you can see this is the topic. So we'll talk about it. We'll discuss it a little bit. Obviously, give our thoughts, give our reactions to it, all that good stuff. Let's start with the Trent Williams situation. So I saw the Trent Williams thing come across this weekend, and I don't know how to report on whispers, and because that's essentially what it came across as, was that Trent Williams, or at least there are whispers surrounding Trent Williams that he would like to get a new contract. Now, obviously, just using our brains, we can understand that Trent Williams has kind of been jumped in the hierarchy of left tackle highest paid when he set the mark back in 2021 when the 49ers were able to keep him away from the Kansas City Chiefs. It took a call. It took a call from Trent Williams directly to Kyle Shanahan to say, listen, Kyle, I'm about to sign with the Chiefs. I want to stay here. I want to get it done. But this back and forth, this whatever they're doing, he's like, I'm about to sign with the Chiefs. And so effectively, Kyle did whatever he needed to do internally, got Trent the deal that Trent was asking for. Boom, got it done. I remember it was signed like 2:00 at night because Trent Williams had posted to his story on Instagram that it got done. I remember I was the first to have it on the timeline, and we just went nuts. We just went crazy. It was one of my favorite nights ever as a 49ers content creator. Because not only did we pay Trent Williams, the best left tackle in football, the silverback, in a situation where the 49ers had approximately like $15 million in cap space heading into this free agency period. And we had been racking our brains with how are the 49ers going to pay Trent Williams? How is this going to work? Kyle Juszczyk was a free agent. We were like, how does this work? We have $15 million in cap space. I don't know what we're going to do. I remember stressing out about like, man, we're going to lose Trent. We're going to lose Juice. How are we going to handle this situation? And sure enough, 49ers get it done, sign Trent in the middle of the night. They sign Alex Mack and Kyle Juszczyk as well. So that was also the night, too, that I kind of stopped worrying about this contracts. And, what my current, or at the time, my understanding was when you hear cap space, oh, you have X amount of cap space. And again, I have never been on the contract side of things. I've always been a film watcher. I like to watch what plays out, very visual. I've always paid attention to the business side of football, but never as closely as I do now. And I just remember, like, how are we going to get this done? And that was kind of the eye-opening experience where the 49ers paid all these guys, two highest paid at their position at the time in NFL history, and they ended free agency with more cap space than what they started with. So at the time of not really understanding it, it made no sense to me. I was like, this is above what I understand about these contract negotiations. Now, obviously, I've learned a little bit along the way and still learning, especially with this Aiyuk situation. But what it does sound like, at least from Jeremy Fowler of ESPN, did go on to CanBR to talk more in depth about this situation. And he even said on CanBR that this is an actual, like, it's not an actual report. Trent Williams wanting a new contract isn't an actual report. It's effectively, he's heard it enough times that he's like, oh, I'll mention it. That's basically what he said on CanBR. So the Trent Williams thing, I think we can all rationalize that Trent Williams is still considered to be the best left tackle in all of football by people who play the game. And obviously, he's not the highest paid left tackle in football. So maybe you want to make that match. Do the 49ers potentially give him a raise? I know he's still got multiple years left on his deal. Could that be a situation that they cross? Potentially. But obviously, I think 49er fans, again, the comments that we've seen so far since Trent has, or there are whispers that Trent wants a new deal, is everyone's like, well, everyone wants a deal. Can I get a deal? How do I get a new contract with the San Francisco 49ers? It's kind of becoming a joke at this point, just to make light of the situation, because obviously we have been talking about the Brandon Aiyuk situation and the twists and turns, and this isn't our first offseason with a negotiation or a tough one. It is like the fourth or fifth, it feels like. So it's just gotten to the point where I think where fans are just like, especially too after a surprise contract extension for Christian McCaffrey and Jawan Jennings. Now, obviously, when you look back at it, it all makes sense, but it just wasn't one of those talking points. Well, now add Trent Williams to one of the talking points. Does something happen? I could see it. I could definitely see the 49ers wanting to sweeten the pot a little bit for Trent Williams. I could see them wanting to sweeten the pot for a couple guys. George Kittle, potentially. Could they sweeten the pot? Obviously, we know that the 49ers have two big-time free agents in Charvarius Ward and Deommodore Lenoir. So there's a lot of contract stuff to be discussed. But of course, we'll continue to see how it all plays out. Michael says, Brad becomes the highest paid content creator, corresponding move. Trent are traded. So you're saying I'm making enough money that we can't pay Trent and BA. And so because of the move to keep me around, that's what happens. Nah, the 49ers are trading me away for a bag of stale Doritos and a day 3 pick to be mentioned later. That is not happening. They would laugh me out the room. I'd be like, hey Jed, can we talk dollars and cents? I feel I have represented myself and the content creator community with pride, with admiration. I feel it's time that you make me the highest paid content creator in NFL history. He said, well, Brad, you have been traded. I'd be like, what? I just sat down. It's like, yep, sorry. We knew this was coming. We heard whispers that you were going to come in here and ask for a contract extension. We have traded you away to the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, fine. I see how it is. No, but in all seriousness, Rob says the 49ers are like Oprah. You get a deal, you get a deal, you get a deal. Nice reference. In all seriousness, I think we're just trying to make light of it to not get too stressed out by it. Because at this point, that's just where it's at. Is the updates to come out about it is you have Mike Silver reporting that the offer on the table is around $26 million, and they're talking about the APY. And then you've had reports. I think the Jeremy Fowler report originally, he was the guy that originally put out that Brandon Aiyuk wants $30 million per year. So there's just this kind of back and forth situation that continues to happen. Honestly, we are 6 weeks away from the start of training camp, and I'm just going to have to rely on the way that training camp, or I should say these last deals, have played themselves out, in the sense of they've went right up to the wire of training camp. So until anything else changes, that's just kind of my expectation up until this point. So all this kind of, I would say, that dust that has kind of been kicked up here on June 10th, I would have to say if this was July 22nd, I might be a little bit more concerned. But as I would say, as it stands right now, I just got to wait and see. I just got to wait and see how this plays out. There's still a lot of time. And we obviously understand that deadlines really move the needle when it comes to getting these types of deals done. And you would have to think that both sides want to get something done by the start of training camp. So that has to be the next deadline. And so we'll see. We'll see what progresses up until that point. But what we did hear from Brandon Aiyuk today, it had been a while since we had heard from Brandon Aiyuk, but Brandon Aiyuk reiterated that he said, my home is here, my family is here, everything I know is here. I want to be a 49er beyond this season. And Brandon Aiyuk told this to Aiyuk Daily. Aiyuk Daily is a Brandon Aiyuk fan page. And just for full transparency, I vetted this as far as I could go. And I was able to vet and confirm that this was a direct quote from Brandon Aiyuk. And so, with that being said, I think this is the case. I think this is 100% the reality of the situation for Brandon. I don't think Brandon ever wanted to go anywhere else. We had Brandon Aiyuk on the channel, was it last off season? And we kind of talked about this, scenario, and he said he wants to be here. He said that he understands it's a business and we'll have to see how everything plays out. But even last year, he said he wanted to be here. And then as things have continued to progress, I don't think anything has changed. Obviously, the only thing, or I would say the main criteria of Brandon Aiyuk getting paid is just getting what he and his representation believe he is worth, and that's it. That's it. That's all where we're at. I don't, I know BA, kicked up some dust a little bit when he tweeted directly at Mike Tomlin and all those different types of things. And we had all the rumors and all that type of stuff. I don't think BA wants to go anywhere other than right here, because we got to run it back with the Lions, and we need BA a part of that to make sure that these Lions don't get any ideas from Don Burr thinking that they can overtake the 49ers rightful place of, I guess, being the number one team in the NFC. So you're going to have to wait a little bit, Don Burr. But still, with Brandon Aiyuk, and also, I don't know if we can even hear this audio, but it really is this simple. I hope you can hear it. We'll see.
3 scenarios happen with Brandon Aiyuk. Extension before the season starts. Let him play out this season and then kind of kick the can down the road and see what happens next offseason or after this year. And then the other one would be trade Brandon Aiyuk before the trading deadline, which is after the 49ers' 8th game. The trading him before then just seems like that's really not even an option, I don't think. I mean, something dramatic and dramatically bad would have to happen for the 49ers to even consider that.
So that was Mayoko on 49ers talking about essentially the 3 options that him and the 49ers have. I agree with Mayoko. I do not think a trade is on the table. I don't think the 49ers are going to move him. To me, it doesn't make any sense because I feel like internally you have to be able to call it what it is. And Brandon Aiyuk has been extremely important to the 49ers' success. And I think he continues to carve out more of an importance. And I think last year solidified how important he is. And you could see the dramatic change just changing quarterbacks was for Brandon Aiyuk, going from Jimmy Garoppolo, who typically hung out in about the 10 to 15 yard intermediate quadrant of the field, didn't really venture out too far outside the numbers or deep downfield. And that's really where Brandon Aiyuk is able to exploit opposing defensive backs. He can take the top off of a defense. He can beat you with whip routes. He can beat you with out routes. He can do all these different types of things to take advantage of winning outside the numbers and deep. And that's where him and Purdy's cohesion have really started to take a focal point on this offense. Now, obviously, we understand that Christian McCaffrey is that guy in the offense right now. He touches the ball more than anyone, and he produces with it. So we understand that, and that's why I'm sure some people found a way to not like the Christian McCaffrey extension. But I think if you're a well-adjusted human being who follows 49ers football and you saw that the 49ers gave Christian McCaffrey a bit of a pay raise and they were able to get him some guaranteed money, all that kind of stuff, I don't think anyone has a problem with that because they see the value that CMC brings to the table. Everyone sees that. But also, too, you can't discredit the value that Brandon Aiyuk brings to this offense, what he's able to do by stretching defenses with his vertical speed. Right now, we don't have a wide receiver that we know yet. Now, Ricky Pearsall, could he be that? Jacob Cowing, could he be that? Absolutely. But as it stands at the NFL level right now, with what we've seen, Brandon Aiyuk is a threat on the 49ers offense that we don't have anywhere else. And so I think we have only seen the beginning of what Brock Purdy and Brandon Aiyuk can do. And I think that will continue to develop into the next multiple years. I'll never forget when Brandon Aiyuk had to play with Brock Purdy for the first time. I remember this rep almost like burned into my brain, where Brandon Aiyuk was running a clear out route. And if you might not be, super sure what a clear out route is, effectively in this instance, it was a deep route. So it's called a clear out for the simple explanation that he's trying to basically pull defenders towards him. He's trying to clear out the space so that they can work an underneath route concept. So his main objective isn't to get the ball, it's to clear out space. It's to be a decoy, use his speed, and pull the defender out of the zone. Well, I remember it like it was yesterday. He ran his clear out route and then he pulled up. And then he looked back and here comes the football. And you can see him like realize that the ball is being thrown to him and he's like, "Oh crap, I got to get it." Now it was incomplete. But that was Brock Purdy's rookie year. And I remember watching him make the real-time adjustments of having a quarterback that would not throw him the ball deep to then having a quarterback who would throw him the ball deep, and he wasn't even anticipating it. Wasn't the primary target, wasn't the primary route. Brock saw it, saw what he liked, and he let it go. And Aiyuk wasn't ready for it because he wasn't used to that. So fast forward to now, these two are on the same page. These two have put in the work to be able to develop that chemistry with the deep route concepts. And I do believe, and I've talked about this separate of Aiyuk, but I do think I think we're going to see a different type of Brock Purdy where he is going to challenge defenses more vertically. I think Brock is going to push the ball even further. And I remember I did this video, I think it was last week, and everyone's like, "Well, look at where he ranked last year." And yeah, you can take the numbers and you could we already know Brock ranked really high in a lot of those statistical categories. I'm talking about what Brock does on the field. I think we're going to see more aggressive, more accurate, and I think that ball is going to come out with a little bit different juice than we've seen recently. And the guy who needs to be a part of this offense, in my opinion, to help see that through and really see what Brock and Aiyuk could be, got to get Aiyuk here, man. I got to get Aiyuk taken care of. I don't want to trade him. I don't think trading him's an option. I don't love the idea of potentially making Brandon Aiyuk play on the fifth-year option. To me, that sets a bad precedent internally, especially for a guy who has worked as tirelessly as he has put up the production to match the market value. And we know what it is. It's, I know the 49ers might have a hard time stomaching all the contracts that they got to dole out. But unfortunately, it's the nature of the business. And I think they would much rather be stressing out about paying, quality players than stressing out about not having enough quality players to compete for the division, to compete for another run at the Super Bowl. So I think this situation has to play out. I think that the way that I'm perceiving it to be at this current time is a little bit of, I guess you could say hardball. No, well, this remains to be seen if that is what's going on, but that's just how it feels to me personally. So I do think that, I've seen a lot of fans kind of, and this is typical. I saw fans do this with Bosa. I've seen fans do this with every player that I've seen it with people with the Trent situation. So some guy I think commented on one of my videos of Trent. Apparently the whispers that he wants to get paid. He was like, "These millionaires, man, these millionaires are crazy." But essentially, what I think is we got some time. We're at a bit of a stalemate. And we'll see. We'll see how this situation gets massaged moving further. And because I truthfully believe that the 49ers and Brandon Ayuk aren't that far away. I really don't think they are. I think it's I don't know. I wish I could tell you what it was. I wish I could tell you everything about the situation, but at this point, I'm just speculating. But I do wish that this was something that didn't have to be so public, didn't have to be so drawn out. And I get it for both sides. I bet both, you know, maybe wish they could have done things a little bit differently in the situation. But I don't think that changes anything in how the ultimate outcome is going to be. I still believe that Brandon Ayuk's going to get paid. I still think he's going to be here for a long time. I don't think he's going to get traded. And I don't think the 49ers are going to force him to play on the 5th-year option. So just got to wait and guess. And guess what? That means you also have to endure more of these kinds of updates. So I apologize in advance. I know 49er fans have been kind of, they haven't been loving this situation and how it's played out because it's been going since March, end of February. And I like I know people are over it, right? I was kind of hoping like we get this done, we go into the 6th-week period, no more issues, everything ironed out, um, and we could just have a happy summer break because that's truly what we're in right now. We're in the summer break, and but this is where we're at. So we're gonna have to, monitor every situation, any social media activity, any updates from insiders, etc. We're going to be talking about because that is the only pertinent things surrounding the San Francisco 49ers in the sense of something that we're truthfully waiting for. So we shall see. This is an interesting debate, and I'm down to open it up for a conversation about this. And Jay says BA is a great player, but he isn't a game changer. Defenses aren't changing their scheme for him. He's asking Jefferson Lamb money. Okay, let's open this up a little bit. Brandon Aiyuk isn't a game changer. And I believe this is being quantified in the sense of he's not a game changer because apparently defenses don't roll coverage to Aiyuk. They don't apparently double cover Aiyuk. They apparently don't he doesn't do things like Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb. My only argument against Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb right now is that BA isn't the number one target in the sense of being that guy in this offense because the 49ers happen to have an offense that is predicated on scheming against the defense. And it could be any player, any week. It was Juwan Jennings' time to shine in the Super Bowl. That's just kind of how it has been with the San Francisco 49ers. So I would say defenses are more concerned about Kyle Shanahan than they are on any individual one player. Now, obviously, you got to know where Christian McCaffrey is. You have to. You got to know where Christian McCaffrey is. You got to know where George Kittle is. You got to know where Debo is. Got to know where Brandon Aiyuk is. It's kind of a situation where it's a pick your poison. Defenses can't allocate all their resources to stopping Brandon Aiyuk. That's not a function of Brandon Aiyuk not being a game changer. That's a function of Kyle Shanahan's offense, the way he's designed it, and all the weapons that they have. I don't think of that as an indictment on Brandon Aiyuk and what he brings to the table, because Brandon Aiyuk impacts the same. And I just talked about how he impacts the team. He impacts them with his vertical speed as a vertical threat, as a guy who can challenge deep downfield. That's how he impacts the game. And you see a lot of times the 49ers are going to work underneath routes under him and what he's able to do and all those different times. So I have a hard time with the game changer thing. I think he is absolutely a game changer. He's one of the best route runners in the league, and he's probably, him and Juwan Jennings might be up there for the best blocking wide receivers there are. And again, they're not changing their scheme for them. I can't sit here and say definitively that they are because I'm not a defensive coordinator. And I haven't sat in rooms as they try to prepare for Brandon Aiyuk. But I do know that Brandon Aiyuk tends to get the number one corner, tends to get a lot of the attention when it comes to being on the outside. And again, the reason why they're not scheming for Brandon Aiyuk is because they're scheming for the entire offense. That's just the reality of playing in a Kyle Shanahan scheme. So now he doesn't have the production of Justin Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb, which is why he won't get paid in that range. But he's not asking for that type of money. So the way that I'm looking at it is I do think he is a game changer. Defenses aren't changing their scheme for him. They're not changing their scheme for him because they have to account for the entirety of Kyle Shanahan's offense, which is one of the more intricate and one of the most, I don't know the word to put to it, but the way Kyle stresses defenses is simply for the fact that he is consistently manipulating the defense's keys against them. He is consistently using their rules and what they are trying to abide by in regards to, when the 49ers are in this alignment, we play this gap. These are my keys. He knows this. He takes advantage of it and he attacks the crap out of it. Right? Like I'm just kind of running through some clips and you can see how BA makes an impact in a bunch of different ways. Like, for example, this random play. I don't know if it'll let me show it. Let me double check. But this play right here, you can see this is BA being used as the clear out. So you're going to see Brandon Aiyuk flash across the middle of your screen. There goes BA. And then that opens up the hole in the middle of the defense because that safety can't crash down on Debo. So Brandon Aiyuk, again, this is scheme. He's being schemed to clear out this space and this hole for Debo Samuel. It's exactly what he does. And so that's my whole point when we're talking scheme versus how individual player impacts. First of all, look at the linebackers react to CMC and the play action. Absolutely bite. They drop back. Linebackers' eyes are on wide receiver. They drop to depth. Brandon keeps the safety from crashing down on Debo, and then boom, you got a Brock Purdy dive. So in my argument against defenses don't scheme against Brandon Aiyuk, sure, you might have a point, but that's because they have to scheme against the entire offense. The offense that Kyle Shanahan is implementing is one of the offenses that is really, really going to put defenses in an absolute blender. So I take that with a grain of salt a little bit. Now, he's not asking for CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson money. So that's also another important characteristic of that particular debate that we opened up, that we're discussing. So that all being said, I think that Brandon Aiyuk is definitely an integral part of this offense. I think the offense looks insanely different if you are bringing out Debo Samuel, Juwan Jennings, and Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing. Now, I think Pearsall, Jacob Cowing could absolutely be guys that stretch the field vertically and all those different types of things. But I do think that Aiyuk's impact is multifaceted in the sense of what he does in the run game, how they utilize him in the run game, how they use him to block defensive ends. And not only that, again, they use him on clear out routes. They use him to open up other players as well. So if you watch, like, again, and I watch every rep, and it's really easy to see the importance that he brings to the table, man. It really does. I know y'all remember this one. This was one of the good ones from the end of the year. Y'all remember this? So there looks like a little 3-by-1. Brandon Aiyuk to the left side. That feels like you could put that under game changer. No? Being able to get on the same page with his quarterback on a scramble drill deep downfield, getting himself wide open. I think that's deserving of a game changing conversation. No, whew. Oh, I can't wait for football, man. I can't wait till we can actually pull it up and start watching it again. That's my favorite time. So I feel like if you watch how Brandon Aiyuk works with the ball in his hands and without the ball in his hands, he's constantly attacking the defense. It's just how is he attacking the defense? Is he a clear out route? Because if he's impacting and creating space for other people, that is an impact. That's an impact for sure. So I definitely think I will agree with you. He does not have the production of CeeDee Lamb and Justin Jefferson, but he's not asking for that money, is he? Oh no. He is asking for the Amon-Ra St. Brown money, which I think is very fair in comparison. So, all that being said, I'm trying to see if anyone objected to being a non-game changer. I don't think really anyone said much of anything about that, but still, I think when it's all said and done, Brandon Aiyuk is going to be a guy that, again, it's funny watching some of the narratives twist when we don't have football and it's not right there in front of our face and right there to be able to dispute or show. And we're all kind of using our memory to discuss what we think a player was, what his impact is, and how that is going to be projected out through an additional year. Listen, I think Brandon Ayuk's impact can only improve from here on out. I think he could have a bigger season. I think Brandon Aiyuk could put up more yards, more touchdowns, a lot more production than what we've seen thus far. And again, if the San Francisco 49ers open it up a little bit more, they find themselves in more competitive games down the stretch than they did last year. You're going to want a guy like Brandon Aiyuk in these moments that you have trust in and that you can rely on to get the job done. And I think Brock Purdy absolutely trusts Brandon Aiyuk to be that guy. So need to keep that train rolling for sure. For sure, for sure. Oh, yeah. Remember this one? This was a good one. So this was a broken play. BA doesn't make contested catches. He makes open catches on the run. Is this considered a contested catch, or is this too open? Is this too open? I guess he's too open on this one. Not contested. But again, it's funny. Again, we don't have anything, like, it's not happening, so people just say BA doesn't make contested catches. He makes open catches on the run. And it's just like, do we just say things and believe them to be true? Because what is this based off of? And even if that were, let's say, even if that were the case, so Brandon Ayuk gets dinged for Dustin, folks. Is that where we're at in our analysis? So I might have to put up a BA film breakdown is what it sounds like. Sounds like people have forgotten what Brandon Ayuk has been cooking up. I'm looking for that touchdown that he had. I don't know if I have it readily available. That one that the back shoulder, it's the Fitzpatrick Peterson front corner pylon. I'm not sure if I have it readily available. Let me see. I very well could. Might just take me a second. Yeah, I don't think I got it. A BA film breakdown would be fun, though. But even though we aren't showing the contested catches, this is just as good. Oh, where'd it go? All right, I'm going to show my last BA clip because I was not prepared to show any BA clips. So, I just had it right in front of me. Yeah, BA was cooking against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had a lot of catches. He had 2 touchdowns. That was a huge game for Brandon Aiyuk. He went crazy that game. Damn it. Sorry, I had it. Oh, there it is. Found it. There is your wide receiver 1 / fullback 1. Bang. Let's go. Let's go. Shout out BA, man. But seriously, how many wide receivers? Like, that's Highsmith. Highsmith got paid. You're getting a combo block with a wide receiver and a tight end, taking over one of the best defensive ends in the league. And then you get BA leaking out in space, looking for work. Shh. I was told Brandon Aiyuk isn't a game changer, though. Not a game changer. He is a game manager. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our first game manager title from the wide receiver position. Congratulations, Brandon Aiyuk. You are officially a game manager. You have entered a rare realm, has never consisted before. He is the first game manager wide receiver. I'd love to see it. Look at him managing this game. Beautiful. Definitely didn't change the outcome of that run for sure. No, but you could do this all day with Brandon. He's all over the place. He's constantly working. Constantly working. And, it's just tough. It's just tough that we find ourselves in this scenario where, we start getting fans pocket watching, and I get it. It comes with the territory. But I think most fans, like, the number one thing that we should really be worrying, like fans should really be worrying about, is just, can you keep the roster together? Can you keep these guys on the field performing to help obtain the ultimate goal, which is the Super Bowl? And Brandon Aiyuk is 100% one of those guys you need on the field to accomplish that, in my opinion. I really do believe Brandon Aiyuk on the outside helps this defense so much, And then you combine that with Brock Purdy and his ability to connect with BA and what that does for the offense and how that can continue to evolve to, I think, others. Like, I really do want to see an offense where they're pushing the ball downfield, whether to Ricky Pearsall, Jacob Cowing, Jawan Jennings, Debo Samuel, just continuing to stretch defenses is only going to open up more running lanes for guys like Christian McCaffrey and open up more underneath where Kyle Shanahan can continue to scheme up and do things that defenses are going to have a really hard time stopping. So when it's all said and done, like, I get it. People see the money and the dollar figures, and they all of a sudden just start speaking a different tune. Like, I get it. I think most fans, the objection of paying players, even players like Aiyuk, comes from the notion that you don't think the 49ers will be able to compete in the future from a roster construction standpoint. And I don't believe that to be the case. The cap is going to continue to rise. The 49ers have clearly figured out that once they pay players, all they got to do is convert salary into roster bonus. There goes your cap space. Like, I'm not worried about paying someone. Brandon Aiyuk simply earned his payday, and he deserves it. Am I concerned about the 49ers' future roster construction based on paying Brandon Aiyuk? Not necessarily, no, because I haven't seen it create an issue yet. And the San Francisco 49ers continue to sign players in free agency, extend their own, and they remain competitive. And if you can keep drafting solid contributors on cost-controlled rookie deals, then that's what you need. You pay your high-end guys. Brandon Aiyuk is a high-end guy, and you supplement with rookies, or not necessarily rookies. You supplement with guys on their first contract. So that allows you to have a high level, just execution level players with your Kittles, your McCaffreys, throw Kyle Juszczyk in there. With your Kittles, you have your high level guys, but then you're able to supplement with your Isaac Yadams, with your Renardo Greens. You're able to supplement with your D Winters, those kinds of guys. You get the right combination of veteran and serviceable, cost-controlled players. That's where the 49ers need to make their magic. It's too much focus, in my opinion, on the hesitancy to play the players who have proved it and earned it, and not enough emphasis on building out the roster on the back end with rookies and cost-effective free agents that can be more. So I think you got to pay your guys. You have to. You have to. BA turned into one of the leaders in the locker room. I think you got to pay a guy like that. And if you're concerned about how do we build out the rest of the roster, I just explained it to you. You got to be good in the draft, and you got to be good at identifying supplemental players. Not every player on the roster is going to be at the top of their position. But if you have enough top of your position guys, you can absolutely fill holes with guys who you might not consider a high-end piece. You can run out a Daniel Brunskill at a very cost-effective deal and get very serviceable production out of. So you can run out your Colton McKivitz and get serviceable production over or with. So I know it's not what everyone wants. We want high-end players at every position. But again, high-end players means you got to pay them. It's a balance. And I think the 49ers, with what they've done in free agency, what they did in the draft, I think they have a great balance of those kind of veteran, journeyman, prove-it veterans and a solid class of rookies and guys who are already on the roster who can get it done. So we'll see. It's a balancing act. So far, the 49ers have been balancing pretty well. And I do think that I do think this rookie draft class is going to be a great supplement to the current roster. I know the last 2 years it's been kind of shaky, but I do think we could absolutely see this class make an impact. Remains to be seen, but that's the way that I envision it. So how it plays out, what it looks like in the end, I imagine Brandon Aiyuk's paid and all that stuff. So that's how we roll. That's how we go. And we get this thing done and we move forward. Oh, back to our earlier conversation. Megatron, Terrell Owens, Randy Moss, both Harrisons, Jefferson, Hill, Chase. Those are game changers. Just want to be clear of the definition. See, this is the thing though, is I think if you're gonna put CeeDee Lamb as a game changer, I think if you swap places, I think if you put CeeDee Lamb in Brandon Aiyuk situation and you put Brandon Aiyuk in CeeDee Lamb's situation, Brandon Aiyuk is able to produce at the same level as CeeDee Lamb. And I guarantee you, CeeDee Lamb will take a production dip with the San Francisco 49ers. That's just how it works when you're getting barely 100 targets. That's just how it goes. I think CeeDee Lamb had like 50 more catches than Brandon Aiyuk last year. So CeeDee Lamb had 135 catches last year. Brandon Aiyuk had 75. CeeDee Lamb had 35 more catches than Brandon Aiyuk had targets. I just think people, I think this is a much more nuanced conversation than people want to give credit for. It's more nuanced than people want to give credit to. They look at the stats. Oh, well, look, CeeDee Lamb, he's no CeeDee Lamb. Well, CeeDee Lamb had 135 catches on 4,000 targets. Where, meanwhile, Brandon Aiyuk has had to be the most efficient wide receiver in the NFL with what he's done. So we're not comparing apples to apples. We're comparing apples to oranges. If you're talking about physical ability, Brandon Aiyuk ranks in physical ability. And I'm someone who I love CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, as you guys know, throughout the draft process, I have my firstborn sons. For draft sons, CeeDee Lamb is a firstborn draft son. That's my guy. The CeeDee Lamb hive was buzzing. 49ers didn't take him. They didn't take him. They landed on Javon Kinlaw, and that hurt my heart very much so. I'll never forget that. Never forget that pain. And that had nothing to do with Javon. It was just for the simple fact of they passed on my CeeDee Lamb. And now I got to watch CeeDee Lamb in those ugly silver and blue uniforms all the time. But that's my guy. I love CeeDee Lamb. And guess who my other guy was in that draft class? Justin Jefferson. Both of those guys were draft crushes of mine. Both of those guys I went to bat for. CeeDee Lamb was randomly, like, people didn't think CeeDee Lamb was that good, and then people thought Justin Jefferson wasn't that good either. They thought he was a slot wide receiver. I got the receipts, man. Those were my two guys, Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb, out of one of the deepest wide receiver classes we have ever seen. Those were my two guys. With that being said, Brandon Aiyuk should be discussed now he's not going to be discussed in the same tier because he doesn't have the production, but the production is a result of environment. So that's the way that I look at it, is if you had put Brandon Aiyuk in an offense where he gets 135 catches, Ayuk's going crazy. There's a good chance if we actually have a conversation about this and said, what does Brandon Aiyuk's output look like with 135 catches? He is probably going for more yards than CeeDee Lamb. So, listen, the comparisons don't really hit for me because Aiyuk's situation isn't comparable to these other guys. It's just not. Brandon Aiyuk isn't getting force-fed targets. He's not. The 49ers aren't dropping back and throwing like they do, like the Vikings, like the Cowboys. It's just not how it works. So, I do like the conversation, though. And again, Jay, these obviously are my thoughts. You have your thoughts. Who's right, who's wrong? Don't really care. Just having some good conversation. Good back and forth about what we think a game changer is, what a game changer is not. And again, I don't love the hypothetical arguments. Not my favorite, but I do think you can quantify with everything Brandon Aiyuk has put on film that he would go absolutely nuclear as a number one option in a pass first offense with a quarterback who's throwing the ball all over the field, just spraying it. Aiyuk would go absolutely crazy. So that's my pushback on that. My pushback is environment. And I guarantee you probably the environment in which he is in could be used against him in contract negotiations. So we'll see how it all plays out, though, in the end. I think you pay. I think he is a game changer, and I think he's not done. I think this year, and again, barring any more weird stuff, because I don't want a cloud to hang over Aiyuk heading into this year. I want Aiyuk to be able to push this contract situation behind him, focus on this year, and go to work. And if he can do that, Brandon Aiyuk is a 1,500 plus wide receiver a year without even a question. He has the talent. So much so, I remember I told you this story. I predicted way too early that in 2021 that Brandon Aiyuk was going to have a 1,400 receiving yard season. Well, I was a little early, but when I said that, I said it in the sense of what kind of talent Brandon Aiyuk has. He is heading into a sophomore campaign. He was a 1,400 yard wide receiver. Then he hasn't officially hit 1,400 yards. Just receiving only. I think total yards he's over 1,400 all purpose. But right now, as we stand, he's 1,400 yard receiver. I think you switch environment, he's baseline 1,700. Dude, if you put Brandon Aiyuk in the Puka Nacua role, could you imagine getting peppered with targets? So again, I feel like my point and overarching point continues to be that I really do feel that the argument made against Ayuk is based on his environment, not actually Ayuk. Does that make sense? I think I'm hitting home on that. Because you look at Puka Nacua, 105 receptions, 20 more receptions than Brandon Ayuk, 1,400 yards, 1,486 receiving yards to be exact, 6 touchdowns. If you gave Brandon Ayuk 20 more receptions, guess what? He's putting up more. And so if let's say let's do this for comparison's sake. So I just want to see something. So if we take Brandon Ayuk's average per catch and then we multiply that by 20 additional catches, and then we tack that on to the production that he had last year. So if we took the 1,342 yards on 75 receptions with an average of 17.9 yards per catch, and we just tacked on 20 additional receptions, 20, that would have him at 95 receptions. So I was even 10 short than Puka Nacua. So this is still 95. So he's still 10 short of Puka Nacua. So at 95 receptions with an average of 17.9, Brandon Aiyuk would have had 1,700 receiving yards with just an additional 20 catches at the average per catch that he was taking in. So again, that's why I don't like the argument. I don't like the argument, production argument, because that's environment based. It's environment based. It's what system, it's where he is, it's how he used, it's how he's utilized. So I don't like the argument. I don't like the argument. If we gave him the 135 catches times 17.9, if Brandon Aiyuk had the amount of receptions that CeeDee Lamb had with the same average yards per catch, Brandon Aiyuk would have 2,416 yards. Again, I'm not a big statistics guy. That's not my wheelhouse. But that seems like a pretty strong case against environment. Is that if you take Brandon Aiyuk's average yards per catch, you compare that to CeeDee Lamb's catches, which was 135 total, and you extrapolate that out, that is 2,416 receiving yards that Brandon Aiyuk would have in that scenario compared to the 1,700 that CeeDee Lamb has. So again, I don't like that argument because it's hypothetically based. Oh, he's not JJ. He's not CD. Well, yes, he's not. That is factually true. He is not more than one person. But again, if you're going to make the thing about, well, he's not those guys, he's not in their environment. He's not in their system. He doesn't have those targets. He doesn't have the same opportunities as those guys within the offense. Doesn't make him any less of a player. If anything, it makes him underutilized. Use him more. Get him the ball more. So that's my argument against that. But so we'll see. Good conversation though. But I think the biggest takeaway of today's live, the biggest takeaway is that Brandon Aiyuk is the game manager of wide receivers. He's just a game manager. Brandon Aiyuk is apparently a game manager. Guys, I'm just going to say this. Like, this conversation about BA, it is what it is. But just wait till we're having the conversations about Brock Purdy next year. Oh, just wait. Just wait. It's going to be a crazy one. But I can't wait, because as long as we don't have any quarterback controversy, I'm fine. And I'm already going to tell you right now, I'm going to say if Brock Purdy not only duplicates what he did last year, but comes out and has a even better season, the 49ers are going to have to pay market value. That's it. They're going to have to pay market value. And guess who's going to be standing right here with their hand up saying, pay him his money? Me. I'm going to be saying the same thing. Just like I'm saying about Brandon Aiyuk, pay him his market value. Just like I'd say about Trent Williams, pay him his market value. Just like I'd say about Christian McCaffrey, pay him his market value. And just like I'm going to say about Brock Purdy, when it's going to be $50 million plus a year, pay him his market value. That is the situation. It is what it is. You don't like it, I apologize for it, but that's what it is. We don't need to cry about it. The market is the market. You want to get mad at anyone? Get mad at the Browns for giving Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed contract. Get mad at these other teams overpaying and inflating the market. That's what you can get mad at. The 49ers have no other opportunity but to play ball. That's just how it goes. The market is the market. The market dictates the price of the players. The players' production dictates their value. And then everything else can be worked out. So when it's time to pay Brock Purdy, I'm not going to be switching up on you. I can already see where the switch up's going to happen with a lot of people. And to me, it's going to be very simple. Brock Purdy not doubles down on the season that he had last year. Pay him his money. That's it. That's it. It's that simple. The market is the market. So that'll be a fun conversation. A little bit of preview into next off seasons. Next off season. We're already talking about next off season's content. I can see it happening already. Boys, are going to be fun. But shout out to everyone who tapped in today. And we just kind of ranted there at the end. Pay Brock and tractors. You might be able to work that out. You might be able to actually make that happen. We need to figure out how to get John Deere a part of the contract negotiations. Somehow, some way. Maybe we can pay him in corn seed. Does that work? Shout out to Brock, man. Brock knows his demographic, and Brock is a marketing machine. Absolutely love it. The discourse last year was not fun. No, it was not. It was terrible. It wasn't discourse. Am I worried about Cowing missing camp at all? Does he have an injury? Did I miss something? Is Cowing hurt? I haven't seen anything. So I'm not worried about Cowing missing camp, but that's also because I haven't heard anything to be worried about. It feels like there might be something that I should be worried about. But I personally haven't heard anything about Cowing having an injury, so I would expect Cowing to be available for training camp. But I was kind of low key this weekend. I wasn't really paying all that much attention to what was going down. Yeah, unfortunately, that's just a source that I don't put any weight into. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out. I haven't heard anything from anyone reputable in that regard. So we'll see how it all. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. So in regards to BA, though, we're just waiting for him to get paid, and we are waiting for it to close this chapter of the offseason so we can look forward to the regular season and training camp that will be coming down the pipe. But appreciate everyone for tapping in today. Smash that like button on your way out. I appreciate everyone, as always, for tapping in and engaging, especially during the offseason time, all that good stuff. I'm out of here for now. Peace. Smash that like button if you haven't already. Love to